the overall message is that they suck. I, I hope I made that clear. The overall message is elementals are bad. Hello, kids and non-kids of all ages and experiences. This is Merps. We have a Hearthstone BG patch coming up very soon. If you want information on said patch, where it talks about arena and BGs, I will only be talking about BGs. If you want the best information and the sickest reviews, you should probably go watch Dog or Sliss's review. If you want another review, you can stay tuned and watch this review. Thank you. Alright, what's up everyone? I'm cracking open a beer. We're going to talk about the patch. I have a lot of thoughts on this patch. I think it's quite interesting. Alright, one of the biggest patches we've ever had. Here's the way you want to analyze something. Whenever you look at something like this, you look at the heroes, you think about them for a second, and then you go immediately to the minions. All you want to do is understand the heroes, and then you want to go and look at the minions, because the minions are really the things that change everything. Like, you're not going to get a full-scale analysis just by doing this, right? So, okay, Rag. And by the way, I haven't really... this isn't like a freaking card review where I have like a billion pages of notes and we've done everything. Nah. This is... I checked it out, and then I'm just here. We're going to talk through it, you know? Obviously, I want you guys to share your thoughts as well. With Rag, after you kill 20 enemy minions, get Sulfuros. And Sulfuros is a passive. At the end of your turn, give your left and rightmost minions +4/+4. Okay. Initial thoughts, really incredibly strong. Here's the thing about Rag. And if you math it out, right? If you math it out, you should get his hero power by turn 6. And that's conservative. Remember, there's tokens, and there's minions that create tokens. Scallywag, for example, you know, people buy those in the early turns. You could kill 2 minions in turn 1, and then you could kill like 2 minions on turn 2. But I'm counting turn 6 as a fairly conservative estimate, where you're killing like you're only killing like 1 or like 1.5 ish, you know. Here is what I think, and here is why it is powerful. Like, you guys remember when Deathwing, unnerfed Deathwing, was like really good, right? Stupidly good. And people were just like, dude, just gang up on the Deathwing. And like, you know, like just buy these minions against Deathwing. Just always buy these minions and to counter Deathwing. The reason that Deathwing is so powerful, and even now, Deathwing is pretty good, right? The reason Deathwing is pretty good is because you can't afford to do that. The cost-benefit analysis doesn't work out for you as the non-Rag, because you're playing against the field and you're saying, I'm slightly going to weaken this Ragnaros, but I'm going to take 2 damage. So it doesn't really work out, you know? Like when you're facing Rafam, sometimes you're just like, you know what? I know I have the spawn in the front, but I'm so much weaker if I don't have the spawn in the front, and I need to just reduce the damage against the Rafam now. And yes, I might make him a lot stronger, but I just need to put the spawn first. We've all been through that kind of analysis, right? So it's the same thing here. It's like, do I kind of hurt myself, like for this battle, in order to weaken this one guy? No, because if you think about it more, what you're actually doing is you are hurting yourself for the benefit of the lobby, and you're part of the lobby, but you're a small part of the lobby, and that's never worth it for you. And that's the reason why, like, a hero like Deathwing worked really well and still works pretty well, because you can't afford to no individual going up against a Ragnaros or a Deathwing can afford to do that. I mean, they can do it, but it's not good. If they do it, it's dumb, you know. So that's why it's so powerful. I see this argument all the time, or like I saw it in Victor's chat, and it's just they're not thinking about it correctly. Like it's like no, you can't shell out in order to like just try to grief the Ragnaros. You know who you end up griefing? You. It's like congrats, you played yourself. That 2 damage on your face is worth so much more than slightly slowing down the Rag hero. I'll say this. First of all, this hero power is obviously really good. +8/+8 a turn. People are saying that it's slow. It's a little bit slow. You should be able to get there in time. It's like a much more consistent cat, right? It's like not... It doesn't have the ceiling of the cat. It's like a halfway between cat, you know? Where you won't not die that often. And you will avoid the 7th and 8ths a lot more. But you're not going to get like the first as much as the cat. But this is going to be a lot better than the cat because of it. Like, so I don't want to say it's like, oh, it's halfway between cat, and you're like, well, cat sucks, so this sucks. No. So Ragnaros should be S tier. Should be S tier. And I say this because things can change, things can be different. I think Rag is like the canary in the minefield. Because if we are ever in a meta in which this hero power is bad, the meta is screwed. Because people are like, oh, it's too slow, it's like whatever. It's not too slow right now. This is not too slow right now. It's definitely not. If we ever get into a meta in which Ragnaros is not good, and by not good I mean not at least like A tier, you know, then the meta is effed, and I don't know if I want to play in that meta, because that would mean it is so fast. You literally like this is bad, because on paper and how we understand the game right now, this is S tier. This is so good. This hero is busted good right now. And by busted, I mean, like, is it better than freaking Jandis or something? No. But, like, really good. Yes, like, one of the best heroes in the game. If this hero ever becomes not, you know, S tier or A tier, then the game is so problematic. So, I like... Watch for Rag, because he's, like, the canary in the minefield. But I do expect him to be quite good. A lot of comps want the left minion to die quickly. Some comps do. So what you want to do is, for example, if you have a spawn, just put a second. And then put this, like... a lot of times what you want to do, because sometimes you want a bumper, right? But it's not really a bumper meta these days. It's not like the beginning of BGs in which everyone had to have a bumper because everyone had amalgams, everyone had what was it? Annoyatrons, Psychotrons. Remember when those were in? So the Chinvala, after you play 3 elementals, reduce the... Alright. So this is purely dependent on how many elementals and then everything. So I'll save this for a little bit later. As of right now, doesn't look that great. Rakanishu, D2 by the way. Rakanishu. Cost 2, give a friendly... Random friendly minion stats equal to your tavern tier. Nope. Nope. The days in which this would be a good hero power are long gone. Way gone. Nope. This hero might have been decent like many months ago. You know? This sucks now. You can't do this. There's no upside. There's not, like, any... Nope. Nope. 2 coins for that. It's a worse pyramid. Think about it, guys. It's a worse pyramid. Pyramid costs 1. Health is more important than attack anyways in this game. And you don't need the scaling, right? Like... Pyramid gives you that 4 health immediately, even if you're on tier 1, so you can just start using it. This is... Bleh. This is like... So this is like a bad Edwin. It's like a bad Edwin, right? Yikes. I don't understand why they didn't make this 1. Do you guys understand why this is 2 instead of 1? Why is this 2? Why? If this came out at 1, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. It's random. The fact that it's random, you can make it 1. At 2, you can make it targetable. Alkir. I think this design is pretty cool. Passive, start of combat, give your leftmost minion Wind Fury, Divine Shield, and Taunt. He's okay. He's like a little bit meta dependent because depending on what minions come out and what you want to put on the left side, he could be good. A good comparison to Alkir, not in terms of power level, but in terms of what they do for the early game and beyond, is Lich King, right? Because they, for no cost, give minions on your battlefield an additional like ability or like extra stats almost, right? Like depending on the minions that they have. Lich King is obviously better. In the early game, you want that Reborn. In the late game, you probably also want that Reborn. Unless you're facing specific comps or you have a specific comp, you might prefer this. But similar thing. So I think Alakir should be okay. Because passive extra stats at the beginning of the game are also really good. Like, just think about it, right? He's like Lich King is a better Yogg, right? Lich King is a better Yogg because he has extra tempo in the early game. But whereas Yogg's ability falls off in the late game, Lich King's is even better in the late game, depending on your comp. But probably better, like much better, as in game-winningly better. Alkir is the same thing. So he provides the early stats like Yogg does, like Lich King does. But this thing, it's just not as good as Reborn. So that's the only thing. Price of Tavern Pass is reduced. Woohoo! Lich King overall is still better. We can think of some scenarios where like this is better, right? But Lich King overall is still better. Okay, let's look at these minions. Salamental. Dude, do they have just like one person writing puns over there? If so, it's awesome. They're doing a great job. People clap. People clap for that guy writing puns. It's a tier 1, 2, 2. When you sell this, add a 2/2 elemental to your hand. That's fine. You'll buy it sometimes. Great for those elemental things. Also really good for saving gold, right? You will sometimes end up using this as a literally poor man's gambler. And that's fine. It enables a lot of elementals. So, refreshing anomaly. Battlecry, your next refresh costs 0.3. Like, this doesn't... It's just a 1/3, right? So, the body is actually more important. What does this mean? 1/3, it equals the... It trades with the 2/2s. It trades with the 2... With the Scallywag, the 2/1 with that thing. It loses against 2/3s. It beats the other 2/1s without, like, the 2/1s that are not Scallywag. It's interesting. It's just your refresh, if you play it on turn 1, which a lot of times you will want to because you want to reduce that damage. It's not doing much, right? But it's an elemental, so it's there. Party elemental. After you play an elemental, give another random friendly elemental +1/+1. So we're already seeing elementals as it has the flavor of Pirates 2.0, right? And as we look down, we'll see that it's kind of like Pirates 2.0. All the classes have like a feel to them. And if you were to compare elementals to any class out there so far, the closest thing you get is essentially pirates. And then, okay, so we can have this round, give it +1/+1 twice. All right. Molten Rock, tier 2, 2, 3. Taunt. After you play an elemental, gain 1 health. So this is a pretty bad purchase, unless you really are going elementals, because it's a tier 2, 2, 3, right? This is like one of those things where you really have to commit to it in order for you to take it. Not even commit to it. You have to like have at least something immediately to buff it, right? If it just said give another random elemental +1/+1, you could give it to Bob, right? Not Bob, actually. Bob is not an elemental, or he might. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not gonna sit here and label Bob. All right, he can be whatever he wants to be. Why isn't this thing a 2/4 or a... Okay, you know what? It can't be a 3/3. If it's a 3/3, it's too much attack for it to gain. Yeah. It should be a 2/4. This thing should be a 2/4 at the very beginning. It's a shame. Stasis Elemental. Battlecry, add another random elemental of Bob's Tavern and freeze it. The freezing it is interesting. I'm not going to give it so much credit right now. I don't think it does much, because freezing it is actually kind of complicated. Like, you want to play it at the end of the turn, right? So it's frozen, and if it's good, you don't have to like roll past it. The freezing is only relevant if you do it at the very end. Otherwise, you can, if you don't like it, or if you like it, you have to buy it immediately. Otherwise, you roll past it. So it's like awkward. I don't understand what, like, the freezing aspect of it doesn't seem like it's going to come into play super often. Arcane Assistant, tier 3, Battlecry, give your other elementals +1/+1. We've seen this before. This is like, whatevs. Crackling Cyclone, Divine Shield, Wind Fury. So this is one of those that you want to buff, right? You have that. You want your party elementals to hit those, or your party elemental buffs. This is going to be your big taunt, right? This is going to be your big taunt. I like how it's got Divine Shield already on it. That's helpful. Whirlwind Tempest, this could matter, but a lot of times it won't. Like, remember, guys, we're in a game with Amalgadons and Poisons and Divine Shields and all of that stuff. The chances that you get something to Mega Wind Fury is just so small. You might see Untrolled a couple times, right? The times in which this thing could be useful is actually... Here's the scenario in which it's actually fairly useful. Not actually with any elementals. Or with elementals, if you get this buffed, you put it at the beginning, and then it can hit like past their taunts and mess them up. It's useful with Zap. It's more useful with Zap. So like, if you have this in a comp and you're just buffing elementals, and this is in there, what ends up happening is on Alkir that has a Klee first. That's true. I mean, once again, I try to talk about these in generalities, but it is true. That's a sick combo, right? But with Zap, what you can do is in the later parts of the game, because sometimes you tech in a Zap and they put in Zap protection, right? Well, this thing avoids Zap protection. They put in like a 1/1 Divine Shield to try to get Zap protection against you. Well, they can't. Like, let's say they have the Goldrun comp, right? Like, you're gonna get through. You're gonna hit their Baron, even if they have protection. Mega Wind Fury could potentially rinse a Baron Beast comp. Yeah, we can think of all these like scenarios, right, in which it's helpful. But on average, when I say something like isn't useful, it's like it really just means 95% of the times, even when you go elementals, this thing is probably not going to be useful, which I think is true. 6/6 raw stats is also not trash. That's actually a thing, right? Like, sometimes you just go to tier 4, you see this, and you're like, meh. Especially if you have like a party elemental and a molten rock. It's like a 6/6 that gives some stats and everything and enable stuff, so it's not bad. But Wildfire Elemental, after this attacks and kills a minion, deal excess damage to a random adjacent minion. So it's like a bad cleave. It's a bad cleave, in which case it is easier to buff this, right? So if you're like, well, we have good cleaves, why do we have this bad cleave? A bad cleave is still a semi cleave, you know, and it's easier to buff elementals without needing like a brand, right? Because you need a brand in order to buff beasts, realistically, or to buff the Hydra, or you need like Mama Bear into the Hydra into another Hydra, and like the chain, right? So this is okay potentially. This is super interesting. Deadly Spore, tier 4, 1/1 poison, no tribe. Love the fact that it's no tribe. That's how it should be. This is just a small Myexna, you know, small Myexna, and I like the golden version. You're just like, oh yeah, look at the gold. So here is the way I view this card. If you guys have played BGs for a while, you know that the game has been trending a little bit more and more, and part of it is due to the introduction of Jandice. We are a little bit more of a rock, paper, scissors meta. And what does that mean? We have big stats. Okay, so big minions, right? Which is big demons, or big battle master in just one comp, or Jandice with big pogos, right? These comps being countered by poison, sometimes small poison. Death rattle comps, whether it's beast death rattle or mech death rattles, beat those things. Now, is it problematic? No, I don't think it's a problem yet. I think it's actually in a good place. You want a good amount, a healthy amount of rock, paper, scissors in a game in order to have that sort of, to make people play around it, right? You need that. So I like where it is now. I would just say keep an eye on this. Like, keep an eye on where Blizzard decides to go with this. But I like this edition so far. We'll see how far they take this. Major Domo Executus, the meme lord himself. Yo, why does he look so lame here? Is it just me, or does he look super lame in this photo? You guys tell me. And at the end of your turn, give your leftmost minion +1 for each elemental you play this turn. So it's like the that pirate, right? It's kind of like that pirate, except you don't have to buy it and buff it. Although this one, it's like the positioning thing. Yeah, this is like pirate-ish. Nomi Kitchen Nightmare. They're just going full memes. After you play an elemental, elementals in Bob's Tavern at +1/+1 for the rest of the game.
Yes,
Wait, what?
good girl, Eggers. You watch Merps and tell him to watch his dirty potty mouth.
This is weird. Huh. I don't know what to think of this one. let's go through the other elementals because I need to see the other elementals. I told you guys I didn't. This is like kind of my first time really reading through these. Huh. That's interesting. That might be insane. It might be. Let's read through the other ones because this is so dependent on the other elementals, right? Little Rag. Tier 5 for 4. After you play an elemental, give a friendly minion stats equal to the elemental's tavern toll. Wow. Okay, so this is scaling, right? Like this is like potential scaling. So whenever you have a tribe, you always want to ask yourself, where is the scaling, right? Where is the end game coming from? With Little Rag, you can see it. You can see where it's coming from. With Nomi, you can kind of see where it's coming from. This Major Domo, this ain't it. You know, not really. These are sort of like, you know, the mid-range, like, you know, the early mid-game kind of things. Is it good enough, though? So far, I'm going to say no. Like, it doesn't seem like it. Once again, Pirates 2.0. Add another random elemental to your hand. Lieutenant Gar. After you play an elemental, gain +1 health for each elemental you have. Oh, so it quickly becomes like a 8 infinity. Works with a Little Rag, yeah. Okay, here's the problem. This is oh wait, let's look at the last one. Gentle Genie. Taunt, Death Rouse, summon another random elemental and add a copy of it to your... Really? What? Why do I want this? If I'm on tier 6, why do I want this? Yeah, Pagel Elemental. Yeah, why do I want a tier 6 Pagel? What? Huh? I don't get it, man. Maybe it gives you Amalgam? It could give you Amalgam. So, here's the problem that you have with these things, right? And it's the same thing the Pirates have. And it's the reason that Pirates are really weak. In order to do Pirates, you have to, number one, commit to them early. You see the same problem here, right? You have to commit to them early. You can't switch into elementals. Like, you can do a Caligos transition. You could do a Mama Bear transition. By transition, it's like you pick it up and then you go in that direction, right? You could be like just complete mishmash, complete menagerie before then, and then you transition into that. You don't really like, the ability of you to transition into elementals is much lower. So you need to start it. Like, you gotta, like, build that momentum. You know, you gotta get that snowball rolling. Yeah, you can't. Like, it's not consistent or rewarding enough for you to do it. And even when you build that giant-ass Lieutenant Gar, someone dinks in with their Poison Amalgadon, and even if they lose the first battle, okay, they just buy a Deadly Spore, and then this thing is dead, right? It has Taunt. It actually has Taunts as well, and you know, you have no choice. Yeah, this can't be good. Elementals can't be good. It's, you know, will it win a couple lobbies? Yeah, but you have to commit to them early. The payoff isn't good enough. They have no tech. They have no Divine Shield. They have no way of getting Divine Shield. They have no death rattles, right? Like, they're just big. And yeah, they have like Pseudo Cleave. Yeah, they have like Wind Fury, Mega Wind Fury. That's not enough. That's not like what wins BG lobbies. So he's revving your engines. He is, but once again, he's revving your engines for you to just get bigger. It's the same thing with like Infinite Pirates. You have all these ways to create these huge minions, but it's a terrible meta for the huge minions. So it's like, yes, you're getting stats, right? You're getting stats. Oh, you can get more stats, right? Like, I'm going to get more stats. More stats. More stats, more stats. All the stats. And they all just die to Amalgadons. Like, yeah. I think possible at picking up a Nomi can lead to Elemental Pivot. Yes. That is the only one. But that's like... yeah, that's rough. Just be big. Big isn't enough, man. This is why you see Infinite Pirates still have a very low chance of going number one. Actually, like, big pirates or infinite pirates, right? Infinite pirates going number one is so rare. Because it doesn't matter if you have, like, a 150 gold grubber with double 300 saltine looters. It's all the same. It's all the same when it hits that Amalgadon, you know, when it hits that Myexna, when it hits those Murlocs, it's all the same. So, can Ellie's make Amalgadons insane? They're already insane. Amalgadons are already insane, so it doesn't. And there's many more ways to buff Amalgadons, right? So, it doesn't move the needle. So you think Amalgadon is a problem? I actually do not. And the reason is I think Holy Mackerel was an issue because what it did was it skewed the late game so much into these Holy Mackerel battles, like Mackerel against Mackerel, in which you just have all of these divine shields sort of popping off of each other, and it's all RNG, right? Amalgadons is not RNG. It's powerful and it's a comeback mechanism, but it's not RNG related. And I love that about it. Games like BGs do need a comeback mechanism. You don't just want like the biggest person, right, who like scaled the best to win. You need to make sure that there is this like power spike potential at a certain point. And I think Amalgadon is fair for that. Do I think it's a little bit powerful for my liking? Maybe. Would I change it? No, because we've shown that like Blizzard changing things, they don't just change it by like a tiny bit, right? They change it by a lot. Like for example, I might just put Amalgadon at like a 4/4 instead of a 6/6, and I think that might be enough. That's the extent to which I think it is. Like some people are just like, oh, just remove it. I'm like, no, keep it. Maybe remove like +2/+2 from it, and then I think it's fine. I think it's like really good, actually. 2 minion types are no longer going to be in the game, which means now more than ever, you need to know your matchups. You need to know your strengths and weaknesses, and you need to really evaluate. Like, you gotta 5-head this shit, you know? Oh, God. Kick W. Let's talk about this first. Doesn't matter for Arena, Kick W. This actually does matter. But not that much. I mean, it makes Guardian Animals worse. And it's not like Guardian Animals was stomping the Arena meta, you know? So, dual class arenas are coming. This is nice. It'll be fun. I'll be playing it a little bit at least. But once again, Clown Fiesta to the max. Okay. Let's go back to the heroes. And especially this, right? Chinvala. Because we've seen the elementals now, so we want to talk about Chinvala. After you play 3 elementals, reduce the cost of upgrading Bob's Tavern by 2. It's a gold hero. It's a gold hero. And you have to go with elementals. Damn. Patches is just better. Like, Patches hero power is just better. When Omu is right there. Yeah, right. But, so I don't see it as Omu. I see it more as patches. And I hope you guys, like, when you look at this, your immediate comparison should be patches. Because that is by far the closest comparison. It's actually very not like Omu at all. Omu is about flexibility. He has so much flexibility. This hero has no flexibility. Like, no flexibility at all. So what this does is this locks you into a class really early on. Same like patches. So FTL Master, once again, and maybe I should explain, but yeah, this is why, like, so you're saying, oh, patches reduce the cost of pirates by 1, this only by 0.66. No, that's not why they're similar, though. So I'm not saying they're, like, exactly the same, right? And you're like, oh, well, the cost difference, so they're not. No. It's the same thing, because in the way that it matters the most, it is the same. In which case, they lock you into a suboptimal tribe early on. This for Elemental, pirates with patches, right? That's the defining aspect. So when you look at patches and when you look at Chinvala, it's not the cost, like, the cost reduction is the result, but the reason they suck is because their entire world, like their entire existence, is based upon them limiting your options to this one tribe that also tends to suck. So that's why it's like you look at this and you're like, this is patches. Because this, like, and then if elementals were, like, ridiculously amazing, one day it might be good, right? Same thing with patches. Like, part of the reason patches sucks is because pirates suck. Pirates really suck, so patches, it sucks as well. Chinvala, well, elementals seem to suck, so Chinvala is also going to suck. If you need to commit to Ellie's early, this guy rewards you for doing so. When do you need to commit to Ellie's early? That's the thing. It's like, if you are taken in that direction, right? If you are taken in that direction, but you pick Chinvala before you know anything. So there's a huge difference here, Sadfid. It's like, in some games, you will be forced to pick elementals, but when you're picking Chinvala, there's no way for you to know that, right? And that's the problem. If you know you're going to get tons and tons of elementals, Chinvala is great, but you don't know that. So, yes, there are games in which you are forced and you need to take elementals, but there's no way for you to know when you're on the character selection screen. And because of that disconnect, Chinvala is terrible. If you want to play Ellie's, you need to start early. Yeah, but you should never force it. Like, they suck. If you want to play Ellie's, you need to start early. Yeah, but the overall message is that they suck. I hope I made that clear. The overall message is elementals are bad. Bob gives you random minions. You can't just, like, even if you want elementals, you're not guaranteed to get them. You know? Think about how many times you play patches and you just never get pirates. That happens quite a lot. Elementals probably get a buff after 1 week, so they become OP. They might be the new dragons, right? If you guys remember when dragons first came out, they were the biggest bait. Holy shit, they were the biggest bait. They were terrible. And then Blizzard gave them a huge buff, and then they were good. Chinvala is not like the Marakai or Ysera. Yeah, those play very differently. So Ysera plays very differently because they give you the things for, like, they're like, here, you are guaranteed to be able to do this, but I'm not going to help you out in any other way. And Florgal is, I'm going to give you very little help early on, but if you survive, you just spam Murlocs. Like it's Murloc heaven, you know? So, guess Salamentos with that hero might be fast level. Yeah, so if you are lucky enough to get a lot of Salamentals with Chinvala, It's pretty nice, right? That's pretty nice. But once again, no guarantees. No guarantees. Oh boy. Let's talk about this. Holy shit. If you guys saw my tweet, you'll understand. This is going to be reset. Players will see the rating reset to 0. It makes sense. It was always weird that you started at 4,000 anyways. Like, why 4,000? Why'd you start at 4,000? I don't know. With every top 4 placement, players will gain rating up to 300 per win, blah, blah. Never go below 0. They can't lose rating until they climb above 2,000. Between 2 and 6K, every 500 rating will act as a new rating floor where you cannot lose rating. Okay. That's great. Below 6,500, players will earn a small bonus to their rating gains at the end of each match. Yep. So once again, it's going to slowly take everyone to 6.5K. It's going to take everyone to 6.5K, and after that, you are in the Wild West. Like, no more help, no more handouts of MMR. Rating losses will remain consistent. Okay. All right, great. I can scam to 6K. Oh, you got this, buddy. Safid, you better be 6K, all right? And really, you could just spam games and literally, like, monkey on a typewriter kind of thing, right? Because once you get to a new rating, you can just try to monkey on a typewriter your way to the new floor and then just keep going. It's pretty hilarious. Matchmaking will... So now you don't have a rating until you hit 6.5K. Basically, yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah, like the true rating doesn't happen until above 6.5K. I got a question for you guys. I don't think anyone knows this right now. But I was talking to Sun a little bit earlier, and she was curious about this, and I'm very curious about this as well. Okay, so let's read this first. Matchmaking will now be done based on the player's invisible internal rating, which we've been tracking since Battlegrounds launched. Internal ratings for players will not be reset and will not be affected by the above modifications to external ratings. First of all, your internal ratings will change, correct? This makes it a little bit vague. And how much they change, we obviously don't know. But they do change, right? Because they say it will not be affected by the above modifications, but they are affected in some ways, correct? Question mark? When your external rating is lower than your internal rating, you will gain rating faster. Great. And you can read about it, blah, 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 blah. We can read about here, external rating, internal rating, blah, blah. Okay, so... bell-shaped curve. Okay, how's matchmaking? So, look. Possible a player with external rating, 7K external rating is in the same game as a player with 1K external rating if their internal rating values are close. Okay. So, why do I want to play on my old account? Someone tell me this. I'll phrase it in that way. Why do I want to play on my current account instead of just creating a new account? Why? You rise faster? I'm playing better players. I'm playing much better players. Like when I queue up, for example, I played a couple of nights ago. I faced Victor twice. Why? Why do I want to do that? It's like early arena all over again. People making new accounts. So here's the thing, right? Because they can say, "Oh, we compensate you a little bit and whatever." There's no way they can compensate me enough for me to actually face newbies and just stomp the shit out of them, right? Like, there's no compensation that is enough for me, like, that is enough for someone like me to kind of overcome the fact that I get into lobbies with, like, Collins, with Victor, with Slissa, with dog, you know, like, what? Right? Because you already paid for the battle pass. I mean, it's true, right? It is true. But if I am willing to open another account, isn't that just better for me? We'll see how it goes. I mean, look, I'm not gonna do it. Because I don't have the time, right? I'm not gonna grind it out and everything. When it begins, I'm just gonna play on my old account. I ask it as a hypothetical because I hate when there's these loopholes. You know, I hate when there's loopholes. I hate when there's vulnerabilities in this system. I obviously want there to be pure competitive integrity, and it's all about incentives. So when I look at this and I read this, I'm like, I am heavily I'm heavily incentivized to create a new account, right? There's no way that they can compensate me in MMR enough to make up for the fact that I'm facing top leaderboard players when I could be facing people who like literally just papega all over the place, and I have like an 80% chance of getting first place, right? If not like higher, I don't know. I haven't played lower MMRs in a while. I'm pretty sure if I just started and I'm facing people who are on like 4K right now, I have at least an 80% chance, probably like a 90% chance to get first. They're gonna try to put you in, so they're just gonna try to put you into games with other highly skilled players, right? So you're still gonna level up slower because you're gonna get to 6.5K a lot slower, actually. There will not be a reward for high MMR players. Nope, there's no reward. You think Blizzard is going to give you a reward? Your reward is the honor of playing their game, you peasant. Once again, I tweeted out about this. There's nothing about group queues. I'm really frustrated by that. Because there's no competitive integrity right now. If you are a serious player, and if you care about the leaderboards, there's no justification for group queues that outweighs, because once again, I'm taking Ixar's tweet into account, because I remember before, not like he's like addressing me, right? I'm small fries. But he's like, oh, these supposedly smart people can't think of a single reason. No, Ixar, I can think of many reasons, but when you weigh the pros and cons, the cons significantly outweigh the pros. Oh boy, that was tilting. Like that tweet was like super duper tilting for me. With their decisions for the game, they're saying MMR doesn't matter. There's no competitive integrity. But by the way, we're attaching money to this. Like, and yeah, Hasty Scorpion, you are correct. It's just like I have a hard time imagining that it'll balance out, because like I know how much easier it is to play with actual newbies than to be in lobbies with like high MMR people, right? So who knows? I could be totally wrong, but they would have to tune it to such a degree, and I think it's just more worth it to have a new account. But once again, you have to spend money, you have to do that, so I get it. External MMR ends up not meaning so much when you don't know your internal MMR. Yep. Yeah, it's just it's like a seasonal progression, right? It's just a seasonal progression at this point. It's not even sort of like, oh, who's the best? It's like an EXP bar. It's like the season battle pass thing that they give for Fall Guys. It's like, oh, now you're at the end and you get this Jack in the Box emote. Number goes up, it makes me feel good. That's exactly what they're doing. No, that's exactly what they're doing. So okay. Am I excited about this? Yeah, I am. Elementals suck, but they're new. They suck, but they're new. Okay? That's been the theme with all of these tribes. Okay? Dragons came out. They suck, but they're new. And then they became like OP. Pirates came out. They suck, but they're new. And they still suck. Elementals, they suck, but they're new. And who knows what'll happen, right? Who knows what'll happen with this? But I think BG's it's fine. I would rather them put out a new tribe and let us just sort of tinker with it, and have it be underpowered than have us immediately find out that it is OP like crazy. So I hope you guys don't take that as a complaint. I actually like this. I think that releasing a new tribe, because it's still fun to play a new tribe. It's just not fun to have a new tribe come out and be immediately overpowered and have everyone see that it's overpowered. That's just my opinion. I think some people might legitimately think the opposite way, and that's fine, right? That's fine. But I actually prefer it in this way. Hello. You're giving me ice cream?
I just keep hearing Ixar, 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 blah, 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 wine, yada, 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 yada. And I just feel that maybe you would feel better if you had some ice cream in your day. I've been hearing about Ixar for like 2 days, and I don't even know this person, but I resent them because apparently really, really triggered you. And it's been going on for a while now. And I'm tired of it. So ice cream, I think, will help. Because clearly beer's not helping. So have some salted caramel Cheesecake Factory ice cream, sweetie.
Can I get another beer?
No!
Please?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay, thank you.
Do you what is it?
I actually don't. I'm not in the mood for ice cream.
Eat it!
Oh.
Is it in the fridge?
Yes, it is in the fridge. Guys, my life is so hard. I'm being forced to eat salted caramel ice cream.